This is KCRG TV9 News at 10.
Gunfire erupts during a night out for many in Iowa City at the Ped Mall early this morning. That shooting, injuring 3. Good evening, everyone. The gunfire couldn't have happened at a worse time, around 1:30 when the bars were closing. On a weekend night, the Iowa City Ped Mall is often very busy. Police saying hundreds were likely walking in the area headed home when bullets started flying. The crime scene took up a large portion of the Ped Mall and the street entrance to the nearby Sheraton Hotel. Many feeling lucky tonight they weren't caught in the crossfire. A typical night at bar close with people packed into the Ped Mall turned violent Sunday morning. Police saying 2 rival groups of people got into a dispute, taking out frustration with firearms. Those nearby caught completely by surprise.
It sounded a little bit like fireworks, a little bit like pops, and I was kind of like, is that gunshots?
Officers rushing to the area found 3 victims in and around the Ped Mall, all in their 20s, none of them University of Iowa students. At last check, 1 was in critical condition.
Shots ringing out in the Ped Mall, that is never a good thing. We were on top of it immediately and contained it, and I believe swept up many of the persons who were responsible.
After multiple interviews, authorities learning those involved in the shooting were well known to local law enforcement, believing this to be an isolated incident. Police have since arrested 2. They say Lamar Wilson of Iowa City admitted to firing several rounds at people on the Ped Mall, hurting the 3. He faces attempted murder. Dante Taylor of Cedar Rapids admitted to being a felon and having a stolen gun.
I was never aware that there could be beef like that happening right here. So I mean, it really surprised me.
The university sent out a safety message following the gunfire. In it, the school denounced the violence and a recent sexual assault on campus, saying they're working with police to provide a safe community and, quote, we're all Hawkeyes, a community grounded in respect for others and one that believes we should take care of each other, not hurt one another. Police tell us to prevent any kind of retaliation in the downtown area, they're going to be stepping up patrols. Hey, we wouldn't know all about this incident if it wasn't for you. So whenever you see news, give us a call on Newsline 9. That number is 319-365-9999. You can also email news tips to newsroom@kcrg.com. So far, Hurricane Harvey, which is now a tropical storm, has killed 2 people, and flooding continues to be a life-threatening situation in Texas, with first responders rescuing about 2,000 people in just 1 county. Tropical Storm Harvey continues to wreak havoc across the Houston area. Emergency responders are struggling to evacuate people trapped by flooding. President Trump is going to travel to Texas Tuesday to review the state's recovery efforts, but authorities are urging people to be cautious.
Standing water is extremely dangerous. Okay, it's extremely dangerous. You can't tell what you're stepping into. So please, if you don't have to be out in the streets, do not be out in the streets.
I was awake all night on the phone, and every time I dialed 911, it automatically hung up. And I'm sure they were just over inundated or busy. But I called everyone I could and the best I could.
For those who did not evacuate the Houston area, most roads are impassable, leaving many stranded and in need of assistance. The National Weather Service says this event is unprecedented and all impacts are unknown and beyond anything experienced. Right now, Iowans are in Texas helping with relief efforts. The Iowa Red Cross sent 20 people down there to assist. The volunteers will be there for 11 days, driving through neighborhoods to find those that need shelter. With them are 6 disaster relief vehicles full of supplies, and volunteers are going to use them to help create shelters.
We go into the shelters and we bring in the cots to sleep on. We bring in food. If we need to, we'll bring in health and mental health people because they may have lost everything.
Nearly half of the Red Cross emergency response fleet, more than 150 vehicles, have been mobilized. 2 Northeast Iowa men are traveling to Houston to assist with Hurricane Harvey. Marty Schiesel and John Shirkey met at the Red Cross office in Dubuque yesterday morning, and those 2 are going to be helping pass out food in evacuation shelters and around neighborhoods. The pair expects to be in Houston for about 2 weeks. Hail pelted some yards in Marion this evening. This is a picture from Kim. So much hail, it kind of looks like snow out there. And this is a picture from Jolie. She says the hail was about 1/4 in size. But we didn't have any severe weather alerts, did we, Chris?
No, we didn't. The hail was mainly below severe limits. The main things we saw were the small hail below that and quite a bit of rainfall in some spots as well. Dubuque area saw some pretty hefty totals. Over 2 inches reported on Pinpoint StormNet with that storm that moved through earlier this evening. Other places in eastern Iowa, just the south of Dubuque, saw about 2.4 inches. And in Lynn County, north of Cedar Rapids, over 1.5 inches. So some isolated heavy amounts did fall earlier this evening. I check on Pinpoint Doppler radar now, and there's really not much activity going on. Just a couple of storms right now in Scott County, but those are leaving, and we're expecting a quiet night ahead. With temperatures slowly falling into the 50s, we'll see another chance for some showers coming our way for Monday afternoon. We'll talk about those in your first alert forecast, as well as take a look at what Harvey's doing at the current time. Forrest?
Thanks, Chris. And remember, you can send pictures and video of weather or other news stories through our website. Just find the U-News button and follow the instructions. In a TV9 follow-up, President Donald Trump has issued a presidential disaster declaration for 7 Iowa counties that severe weather damaged last month. Those include Allamakee, Bremer, Buchanan, Chickasaw, Clayton, Fayette, and Mitchell. Places like McGregor, where an EF1 tornado hit, or Volga, where evacuations were underway for flooding. The declaration means federal funding is going to help with recovery efforts up to $7 million. Tonight, the U.S. Navy says remains of all 10 missing sailors from the USS John S. McCain have been recovered. A week ago, that ship collided with an oil tanker near Singapore. Divers had been searching in flooded compartments of the destroyer. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. A man someone set on fire has died from severe burns. Des Moines police are treating the case as a homicide. Firefighters responded Friday afternoon to the flames in the northeastern part of Des Moines. There they found 2 cars on fire. They also found a man with severe burns. First responders took him to the burn unit at University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics, and police say that man died today. This is Des Moines' 23rd homicide this year. In another update, a man is now in custody following a standoff with police officers. Cedar Rapids police say the man refused to leave a home on 17th Street Southwest around 6 o'clock last night. Police say the man may have had a weapon but didn't make any specific threats. As a precaution, officers blocked off most of 17th Street, and then they resolved that situation around 4:45 this morning. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents now have that man in custody. More than 400 students in Solon are still adjusting to their brand new middle school that can accommodate a growing area. Today, students had the chance to give tours and show off the building. KCRG TV9's Jordy Kalk went to that new school today. And Jordy, these kids have got to be excited.
They really are. The old school was more than about 100 years old, and the district was able to build the new school after voters passed a roughly $25 million bond a few years ago. So today, students and teachers held an open house to say thank you to this community. There's a whole lot of orange and black in this school, fitting for the Solon Spartans.
It's a lot nicer than the old school.
Administrators picked each part of the school with a purpose. The principal here says the building is specifically designed for middle school students.
I think we've captured both the safety element and travel flow and hallways, but also the design of the classrooms themselves really put kids in a position to optimize their learning.
More room in the classroom, which translates to more creative learning.
I just like how the classrooms are a lot nicer for like learning and stuff.
The bones of this new building are able to sustain a growing student body. This year there's about 470 students enrolled in 5th through 8th grades. Starting next year, 5th graders will change buildings once crews finish construction on the intermediate school building. But educators say this school will still be fairly full. The building can hold 7 sections of each grade level.
We're not to that capacity yet.
A school built for the future of Solon. As these students show community members the in and outs of the building, they're excited to see what learning can happen here.
I'm excited to get to be here for at least 1 year.
The new middle school cost roughly $16 million. Other money from the bond went to a new performing arts center in Forest. That bond overwhelmingly passed back in 2014 with more than 70% of the vote.
Yeah, and it's really cool. They have so many cool computers, a lot of technology there. It's gonna be
really, really nice.
Yeah, thank you, Jordy. Appreciate it. Well, tonight, school district leaders and community members discussed what to do with the old middle school building. The district is considering letting the city of Solon use it for various classes or events. A superintendent says the district will continue to heat and cool that building. He says there's so much space the community should also be able to use the facility.
The central administration office currently resides in the former middle school, will remain there, and so we're still utilizing the space.
No one has set a date for a decision just yet. One woman decided she just couldn't take it anymore. An area of the city had become a dumping ground for trash, so she decided to take matters into her own hands.
And the storms have ended for the most part, with temperatures now mainly in the 60s. In some areas a little cooler, with some dew points dropping into the 50s, some drier air starting to move in. Could see a few more showers on Monday. And we'll take a look at Harvey coming up next in your First Alert forecast.